Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Valheim series. Today we resume our journeys in that most dangerous of biomes, the Ashlands. Today we do make a bit of progress, so you better strap yourself in, put on your fireproof undergarments, and get ready for a bit of action. Most importantly, with today's episode, we have started our journey right at the beginning of the day. We'd literally just slept out the night, and that gives us the maximum amount of daylight hours to, try and make some progress, kill some stuff, discover some things, and generally, move forward with our Ashlands progression. Now, very important, do make sure you pick up all of the good stuff that you find. Trust me, you are going to use most of it. But that aside, we now face an enemy we haven't faced before, otherwise known as an Ashland. Minor apology for the truly groan-worthy thumbnail that I put on this video, but honestly, I couldn't resist. Now, Ashlands can actually be tamed. I'm not in a position to sort of start doing that just yet, but as you can see from the mountain of new recipes that we have that have been unlocked by the drops that we got from the Ashland, it's a pretty useful animal to be taming at some stage. So I will take steps to do that at some point, and I'll include you guys in on how to achieve that and get a regular supply of the all the goodies that the Ashlands drop. Oh, hello. That's a 1-star Ashland. Now, ideally, if you are going to be taming them, it makes a lot more sense to do it with a 1 or a 2-star Ashland, simply because it's the same amount of food, but you get a lot more drops out of each one that you cull. But for the moment, we're just trying to make sure we don't die. And this guy does hit kinda hard. But he's not damaging us through our block, except when we mistime our block. Yeah, just like that. So, you don't want to let him get a free swing at you, because it will hurt. If you block everything that he's throwing at you, they're actually pretty easy to deal with. They just tend to punt you around a bit with their charge. Just make sure you don't have your back to any lava pools when you're fighting one, and you should be good. Ah, and we can finally stop and take a breath and pick some wild mushrooms and pick up some of the loot that we missed out on. And, yeah, just collect our thoughts here for a moment. Oh yeah, just in time to aggro another Askven. Yeah, not quite sure where that charred warrior wandered off to. Maybe he saw Elvis or something, but don't worry. We don't need him to start a fight. We've got all these other Askven over here who are going to do it on his behalf. Alright, pew pew on another one of these spawner towers from long range. Yeah, it takes a few crossbow bolts to kill them, but honestly, it does save me an awful lot of hassle trying to get up close, deal with wave after wave of stuff that the spawner creates, you know, and then try and destroy that at the same time. Picture maybe the first time you came across a spawner in the Black Forest and then thought maybe it would be a good idea to just try and kill it. And then, you know, it spawns a couple of brutes on you. Yeah, that times two is kind of what tends to happen if you want to take one of those down in close quarters. So I don't mind wasting a few crossbow bolts, killing them from long range. It's safer, easier, and, I don't know, kind of fun. Alright, might be time for a little catch up with Munin here in a moment. Munin, yeah, does like to pick some interesting places to land when they have, you know, things to tell you. And we will catch up with Munin. I've just located another one of these spawner towers that has to die. I've taken care of that one. Now we get to have a quick chat with Munin. Yeah, he's such a positive fella, that Munin. But anyway, we're going to move on. Now, some of you have probably already wondered what that beam of light shining up into the sky might be, and we're going to get to that in a moment. Safe to say it is very, very high on my to-do list. It will in itself probably almost take a full episode. But we'll go into that a little bit later. Now, this is not a great location to be fighting in Ashlands because there are so many spots where I could get knocked into lava. And of course I end up with 2 Ashlands, so yeah, I kind of fat finger not putting my shield away and pulling the crossbow out instead. But what I was ultimately looking for was to pop my bone mass. Now, did I pop that because I thought 2 Ashlands could potentially, you know, kill me? No, not really. It was more, I was trying to reduce the cumulative damage they would have to give me more of a health pool just in case I did actually get knocked into lava. Now, bone mass doesn't help you with the fire damage, it just means I would have more hit points to start with if I were to accidentally set myself on fire. Because I got knocked into a lava pool. So it was you know, a just in case kind of bone mass, but turned out I didn't really need it, but better to have used it and not needed it than to, you know, burn myself to a crisp, turn myself into a gravestone and have to run all the way back to get my body. Okay, time for a quick briefing. That is a fortress, or a fort. They are a very important point of interest in Ashlands, and there are quite a few different schools of thought on how to get yourself in there to get the fat loot inside. I have a particular technique. I have never done it as a melee before, so that will be a bit of a learning experience when it comes to the time. But once I've cleared the first fort as a melee, the next one, I'm hoping I'll have my mage up high enough by then. And I'll show you guys how to clear a fort as a mage. And you'll be able to have a bit of a contrast in terms of the tactics and the differences between the 2 classes. In the meantime, the more astute viewers will notice that, yeah, it seems to be awfully dark. And we have been out for a very long time. But as we established in previous episodes, when the sun goes down, You don't get the cold debuff in Ashlands because, well, there's lava everywhere. Ashlands is a nice warm place where you're just not going to get cold. So I'm not entirely sure if the sun has actually gone down yet or whether it's still the evening. I am treating it as though it is nighttime though. Hence the sneaky walking around and trying not to draw too much attention to myself, because as with all other biomes, the chance to spawn 1 or 2 star versions of all of the critters goes up quite a lot during the night. So I'm going to deal with anything that's in my immediate vicinity, but I'm not looking to start any huge fights. In fact, from this point forward, I'm going to be trying to avoid as many of them as I can. Let's see how I get on with that. Get used to murdering these spawners everywhere where you see them in Ashlands. Unless you're intending to keep one to make a charred bone farm. They are just an absolute menace if you leave them up. So, yeah, my advice, see spawner, kill spawner. Well, there you go. We actually survived the night in Ashlands. See, Ashlands is not such a terrible place after all. Well, it is, but, you know, it helps if you've spent multiple sessions clearing out all of the trash and it hasn't had a chance to respawn, so it does make getting around a bit easier. So where you're doing your Ashlands explorations, and I'm just showing a little demo of what standing on that fiery bit does to you for, I guess I was only on there for a second or so, but yes, it does do a bit of damage. The longer you stay on there, the more damage it does. But getting back to what I was saying, if you're going to be, progressing in Ashlands, and certainly before you get the opportunity to get any significant gear upgrades, be very focused on Ashlands, because the more days that you're going out there and exploring and killing trash and then pushing forward, the further you're going to get before there's any potential sort of respawn of the trash that you've already cleared. So that's probably my best piece of advice with exploring the Ashlands. Don't just go there and go, oh, it's hard, and then go off and do some farming and some other projects, and then come back, in a week or 2 or 3 weeks game time, and then go back and have to essentially re-kill all of the stuff that you did on day one. Because that will kind of happen. Whereas if you focus and you keep expanding out, and I mean, even putting, fires down everywhere, like campfires down everywhere, is a way of trying to minimize the amount of respawn when they do respawn. So there's a lot of different things you can do to try and, make your ongoing experience in Ashlands as easy as possible. Alright, so that concludes the exploration aspect of this episode. On return, and now having the drops from the Ashlands, we're finding that there is some more recipes available to us for crafting. So we're just going to have a little look here and see what sorts of things that we can make. There is the Ask set, which is, I would describe as a mobility set. The armor on it's not bad, but it's not on the same level as the Carapace armor, because it's not, the Ask set is not designed to be a heavy set. It's just designed to be, if you want to be a bit stealthy or a bit roguey and do a lot of running around and smashing stuff up and trying not to take damage in return, it's probably not a bad set for that. Last time I had an interest in that sort of gear was when I had my troll set. Once I had the opportunity to go up to heavy armor, tank for life. So heavy armor is where it's at as far as I'm concerned. So we've had a bit of a look at what's available downstairs. We're now going to have a look at what our food options are, and we've found that we can make this fiery spinach stew. I don't know. We're just going to call it a fiery stew. It is a noticeable upgrade over our previous food, having 95 health. Our food that we're going to replace this with is the chicken, which is only 80. So that extra 15 health makes a bit of a difference, particularly with the stagger mechanics. So we're going to keep making the fiery stew. You'll see there that the 2 ingredients that I'm not farming or can't farm is the mushrooms and the Ashlands. So I'm going to be very keen to get more of those in the future. Coming back downstairs, we've realized that we have enough materials now to make some upgraded crossbow bolts. So these are the charred bolts, and they do noticeably more damage than the Carapace bolts. So I'm making a whole bunch of those, and we'll be using those in our future explorations of the Ashlands. Alright, and in the last round of crafting for this episode, we're actually going to make 2 of the Embler set. So this is the upgraded mage gear. Most notably, it does add quite a bit more ITA regen. And that's the main reason for the upgrade. So we're going to get those sorted out and set them aside for a future episode. In the meantime, we've now reached the end of today's episode. I want to thank you all for watching. If you want to see more, make sure you remember to give me a thumbs up and to subscribe if you aren't already subscribed. Until next time, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Have yourself a fantastic day.